Today at Commander Replay, we're back with some more Syr Konrad Aristocrats combo. Find out what happens when Syr Konrad's in play, and there's another graveyard deck at the table. Next on Commander Replay. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. We have one new Patreon supporter in Anderson Paulino. Anderson, you are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. And if you're looking to purchase new cards, be sure to use the TCG affiliate player link because it helps support the channel and it doesn't cost you anything. Today's deck list comes as voted on by Patreon supporters, with Syr Konrad coming in second at 24% of the vote, while I'm still trying to figure out how to build Syr Kara, but I hope to have that done soon. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some more Syr Konrad the Grim. Take a look at this opening hand. We've got 2 lands, a Crucible of Worlds, an Altar of Dementia. I'm going to mill this. Not a lot of ramp right here. Want something probably just a little bit quicker. I like this a little better. We got a Skull Clamp. We got the Hypnotist, Animate Dead, 3 lands. Yeah, that feels a little bit better. I think there's like only 1 fetch land in the deck. We will want to mill ourselves at some point to make use of the Crucible of Worlds, but yeah. So we got a little rematch from last game. We've got Lord of the Board piloting Olivia Mobilize for War. Cool little Reanimator deck that we've seen a few times on the channel. As I talked about, just a deck that I'm always happy to see just because you don't see a lot of Olivia. Next up, we got Champion Athune piloting Golos, a deck that we've seen a few times now. Pretty strong. Golos, always going to be a tough customer. And then finally, we've got 710 Life piloting Yarok the Desecrated. Last game, they were playing like heavy control. But this game, they seem to be up to a much faster start with Mana Crypt into Burnished Heart. So that's going pretty fast. Now, if that Burnished Heart gets sacked, I will probably Animate Dead that Burnished Heart and get some ramp for ourselves. There's a Pitiless Plunderer. We're still several turns away from that, so let's go Swamp, Skull Clamp, and we'll pass like that. And as I mentioned, we are playing Syr Konrad the Grim. Whenever another creature dies, or another creature card is put into the graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves the graveyard, Syr Konrad deals 1 damage to each opponent. And you can pay 1 and a black to mill each player, and yeah. Pretty sweet little mono black commander. Really cares about like milling and aristocratsy sort of things. Cares about creatures dying and creatures going to the graveyard and creatures leaving the graveyard. So lots of stuff that mono black likes. There's a Faithless Looting for the Olivia opponent. Yeah. So as I talked about in the last video, Aristocrats is not my wheelhouse, especially in mono black. Maybe a little bit more in black-white, just because like that's what black-white does for the most part. But in mono black, my style of play is usually just like heavy control, all the mana doublers, go really big. Just keep dropping bombs until your opponents can't answer them anymore, is kind of my preferred style of play with mono black. I don't know how well that holds up these days, just because the format's gotten a little bit quicker since I really played a lot of Shieldred. But that's generally where I like to be when I'm playing mono black. So doing this Aristocrats thing is kind of different for me. The mana curve is much lower than usual. It's not crucial to get mana doublers and Cabal Coffers going, although they are very helpful. So just a different style of play for me. So, you know, we'll see how things go. There is a Merciless Executioner. We're still a turn away from that, sadly. So I guess it's just going to be a Swamp. Do we animate the dead? Do we animate the Burnished Heart right here? Yeah, I think we do. I don't expect anyone's going to blow this up. Because, like, is that really worth it? You know. So, we get ourselves a Burnished Heart. Unfortunately, we would need, like, an Ancient Tomb, a Soul Ring, or a Mana Crypt to be able to get the land, equip the Skull Clamp, and then sack it. But if we could do that, that would be super sweet. There's a Mesmeric Orb. Awesome. That one's going to help us out a whole bunch. Orbital Trigger on the Golos. Gets a Notion Thief. That makes me happy. Nobody wants to see a Notion Thief. That card is awful. Arbor Elf coming down. Yep. Mesmeric Orbital Trigger a bunch of times. Yep. Journey to Eternity down. Bunch of lands. Croson Grip. Planar Bridge. Mana Crypt Flip. Ooh, that's a Consecrated Sphinx. Okay, opponent's going to mana drain that. Golos going to get a ton of mana. That's going to be a Pact Negation on the mana drain, so looks like that Consecrated Sphinx is going to resolve unless there's more free counters. That's a problem. And with the Birds of Paradise in play, we can't Merciless Executioner the Consecrated Sphinx. Mesmeric Orbital Trigger. It's a land. And a Milliken. It's fine. We draw a card. It's a land. Consecrated Sphinx will trigger. Right here, I'm going to play the Deserted Temple. And I'm just going to crack the Burnished Heart. People are running Croson Grip, so I don't want to take any chance of us not being able to use the Burnished Heart. So I'm not even going to hold it up as a blocker, just going to go for it right now. Everyone's tapped out, so it's the safest thing. Get ourselves 2 swamps. And that does mean we can get our commander in next turn with the Mesmeric Orb from our opponent already in play. That's a great place to be. Opponent's got some nasties in the graveyard. They got Ilharg and Massacre Worm. Massacre Worm good against the current board with all these mana dorks running around. Cathartic Reunion. Oh, that's going to trigger the Consecrated Sphinx 3 more times. Yeah, it seems bad. It seems bad. More Mesmeric Orb triggers. Cabal Coffers Zakama down. Consecrated Sphinx. Yep. Birds of Paradise. Cascading Cataracts into the graveyard when they untap. There's a Growth Spiral. Whew. Consecrated Sphinx triggering a lot over there. Ugh. Opponent's going to strip mine the island. That's fine. I mean, you know, anything that'll slow them down at this point, I guess. There's a Sakura Tribe Scout. That's a good one. There's a... Ooh. Oh. Oh, they have the Birds of Paradise still. Oh. Almost got him. Almost got him. But the good news is opponent has to tap right here because of the Pact of Negation, so they can't actually cast any of the stuff they've drawn. But that definitely means we're going to get Syr Konrad in case opponent draws as many again and things start getting discarded. Or if all these creatures get blown up, that's a lot of damage triggers. All things that we can take advantage of. There's a Soul Ring for opponent. Yep. Exploration. Ugh. Boots. Consecrated Sphinx going on the attack into the Golos. Yep. Boots onto the Sphinx. Opponent discarding a bunch. Oh, filling his wealth down. Can't stand that card. Myojin in there, Muldrifter, Azusa. Surprised they didn't cast Azusa. Maybe they just didn't draw that many lands. Or maybe it got milled. Not sure. Craterhoof Behemoth in there. That's always a good one. Ooh, Bloodghast into the graveyard for us. Altar of the Brood and Altar of Dementia down. Ancient Tomb is interesting. Consecrated Sphinx will trigger. We're on 5 mana right now. If we play the Swamp, that puts us on 6. If we go for the Ancient Tomb, that's 7. Is that meaningful at all? I don't think that it is, actually. I think also we could potentially get the Merciless Executioner, and that seems like it might be a pretty good idea. So let's try that. Play the Ancient Tomb. That'll trigger Bloodghast. Oh, Bloodghast coming back. That gives us card draw. That's a good thing. So use Ancient Tomb, untap the Ancient Tomb. Is that still only 7? I think that's still only 7. It'll be 5, 6, and 7. Yeah, that's not enough for the Crucible. Why did I think that would net us a mana? That's 2, 1 into there. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Yep, no need for any of that. I guess what we can do, we can play Syr Konrad. And then Skull Clamp the Bloodghast. Seems like a pretty good idea. It's going to give Consecrated Sphinx a bunch of cards. Didn't think about that, but this is all going to be good for Syr Konrad. We do get a Syr Konrad trigger. And get working on opponent's life totals. Draw ourselves some cards. Thran Dynamo and Cage Sun. Those are pretty good. Guess we'll put the Skull Clamp on Syr Konrad. Don't know if I'll send it to the graveyard should an effect like that occur. Make that decision at that time, but we'll see. We'll see. Mesmeric Orb will trigger. We get a Syr Konrad trigger. Gets everyone for 1. Consecrated Sphinx continuing to trigger. Here's a Dark Ritual. Thrill of Possibility. Discard a card, draw 2 cards. Instant speed. Consecrated Sphinx continuing to trigger. I mean, if opponent has any max hand size card, they're going to run into it sooner or later. There's the Urborg. Opponent's got themselves a Cabal Coffers. That's a living death. This should get a little wacky with Syr Konrad. That causes a bunch of Syr Konrad triggers. There's a Craterhoof. That does get rid of the Consecrated Sphinx. That's good news. Notion Thief is in play, as is Zakama. There's a Massacre Worm. Oh, man, I wish Syr Konrad stuck around. Oh, that would be so much damage with the Massacre Worm, but opponents are going to be losing a lot of life right here. Oh, no, I think it's going to, because the Massacre Worm's going to go after the Craterhoof, so they're all going to survive. Oh, that makes me sad. Yep, they are all massive. So I think, well, it's going to get rid of the Notion Thief. That's probably a good thing. Our stuff goes down. Massacre Worm triggers a few times. Ooh. And there's a Zakama in play. Pretty scary. Azusa is also in play. Steel Hellcat. Oh, the Myojin. Well, it doesn't get the counter. The Myojin doesn't get the counter because it wasn't cast, so that's at least something. Golos seems to have an incredible lack of lands right now. They're on land number 3. It's turn 4. There's a Soul Ring. That helps. Opponent's going to shoot the Mesmeric Orb down. Yeah, that seems fair. That seems fair. It's kind of hoping to catch Yarok with a discard on Syr Konrad, but also I guess high likelihood that they have a no max hand size card at this point. Opponent going to send the Zakama our way. Seems rude. Seems pretty rude. We're down to 23. That's pretty low. I would like to see a board wipe off the top. We could actually die right here. 13, 15, 20, 22. Yeah, I think opponent has exactly 23. Plus they have boots, so they could cast something else. We could just die, but I guess it depends on how they prioritize targets, because there's a Balefire Dragon in play. That's a real card. Here comes Yarok. Hostage Taker. Sure, this will be bad. One's going to play a Swords of Plowshares on the Yarok. Yeah, that seems like a good start to things. Hostage Taker in. Gonna take the Ilharg. Ooh, yeah, because opponent's got boots. So they can boots the Ilharg. Or maybe they just don't want to see opponent with the Ilharg. But they do have the boots, so they could haste Ilharg in and then get something big out of their hand. That's a Panharmonicon for opponent. Seems pretty nasty. Opponent going after the Olivia a little bit. Interesting. Leaves a few things back. Zakama is a massive creature. Balefire gonna block the Steel Hellkite. Massacre Worm on the Crater Hoof. This will actually trigger 2 death triggers on the Massacre Worm, so gonna be some life loss right here. Yeah, 2 Massacre Worm triggers. The worm goes down, though. Oh, the worm goes down. I was hoping that would stick, because if we find our way into a board wipe, which is what we need to try to do anyway, then that'd be a lot of death triggers. Brings it back to our turn. We draw a Swamp, which is exactly what I was not hoping for. There's a lot of things on board that say we should play Syr Konrad, like this Magus. The fact that Zakama's in there and will make things die very quickly. Balefire Dragon. Balefire Dragon has an open path to the Yarok. Ooh. So, I mean, I think it's going to be Swamp. Get back Bloodghast. Maybe we can go like Thran Dynamo. Alright, I think that works. So we'll go Thran Dynamo. Want to get that in, and then get our commander. Hopefully our commander doesn't get us killed. That way we've gotten some ramp just in case we wheel. I really want to get this Crucible of Worlds in case of another wheel. The Cage Stone also. But it makes more sense to get that Thran Dynamo first just because it's less of a cost to get it in. Like, going for Cage Stone right there would have taken up most of the turn. Balefire Dragon into the Yarok. I'm excited about this. Other players are tapped out. I think we are about to witness a lot of things die to this Balefire Dragon. There's the Balefire Dragon trigger. Opponent's down to 17. Boom! Their board gets nuked. And there's 4 Syr Konrad triggers. Opponent down to 13. Syr Konrad bleeding life totals. Hope that doesn't paint too much of a target on our back. Oh, here comes an Animate Dead. What's this targeting? I'm sure it's going to be bad. Consecrated Sphinx. Consecrated Sphinx. Hey, we didn't get a Syr Konrad trigger for that one. Yeah, I don't think Syr Konrad's working all the way. Whoa! Opponent's going to activate the Magus. Oh, this is going to be crazy. Okay. Oh my, that's a lot of triggers. There's a bunch of Syr Konrad triggers going on the stack. Game is having trouble keeping up. Consecrated Sphinx is going to trigger a lot of times. Opponents are down to 5, 10, and 3. So if opponent just goes wild with Consecrated Sphinx right here, assuming that Syr Konrad works right, opponents will die when they have to discard to hand size. Mindcrank is now in our hand, as is Massacre Worm. Opponent pointing out that Syr Konrad is badly messing up his plans, using a bunch of these star characters right here. Opponent drawing as much as humanly possible. They've got to be looking for something. I don't know what that is. Ill-Gotten Gains is in their graveyard. That's kind of an interesting one that it's hard to explain. Each player discards their hand and then returns up to 3 cards from their graveyard to their hand. The ramifications of that are very interesting. Here's a Soul Ring. Hope the next card's a Thought Vessel, otherwise everyone's about to die. Here's a land. Opponent's got 47 cards in hand, but they seem to have run out of gas, and more importantly, need a Thought Vessel. Oh, opponent's got an Nahiri's Wrath. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Was it going to exile him? No, it doesn't exile. That'll die, that'll die, that'll die. That will kill. Do we send our commander to the graveyard? If we do, it gets an extra point of damage. I don't think we need to do that. Okay, Nahiri's Wrath, real card. There's 3 Syr Konrad triggers. That does get Syr Konrad out of play. That's pretty huge. That'll also get rid of the Consecrated Sphinx, actually. Yeah, Yarok goes down to Syr Konrad triggers, gets rid of the Consecrated Sphinx, and opponents are at 2 and 7. It is going to be a little bit pricey to recast Syr Konrad here, but we've also got Mindcrank. We could go Syr Konrad Bloodghast, sack Bloodghast, try to get Mindcrank also, and that may be enough. Maybe not. Golos, probably, not a ton of creatures in Golos, so might carry on for a moment after that, but we do have this Wake the Dead if that all survives a turn. Now, opponent still does have a Balefire Dragon in play. That's just the thing that we need to deal with. Like, that can't survive. That'll be hugely problematic for us if it does. Oh, technically when Bloodghast comes into play, it should count as a trigger. But again, I don't think that part of Syr Konrad's actually working, so there's an Urborg. Thought Vessel. Signet. Skyshroud Ranger. Brings it back to our turn. Syr Konrad, cast it? Get Syr Konrad. Play a Marshflats. Get a Bloodghast. Trigger Syr Konrad. 1 damage each opponent. Oh, we should have got Mindcrank in there, maybe? No. I think that was the correct order. Maybe not. Oh, opponent's going to Teferi's Protect. Boo. Well, they're at 7, so, I mean, likelihood, it's probably not going to kill them, but... Skull Clamp the Bloodghast. Syr Konrad will trigger. Skull Clamp will trigger. Olivia down. We draw 2 cards. Reassembling Skeleton, you say. There's a Shieldred. Don't have the mana for that. We can we... Oh, Urborg's not in play right now. Crap. Okay. Yeah, let's do this. Crack the Marshflats. Get a Swamp. Bring back the Bloodghast. Syr Konrad will trigger. And just play this... I don't have any life loss stuff in their thing. Yeah, play the Mindcrank. Why not? See if it breaks Magic Online again. Pass the turn. We need to discard some stuff. Discard this Reassembling Skeleton. And that'll trigger 1 time. No life loss to opponent, though. That's a Narset. Gross. Skull Clamp is offline. Here comes Golos. Yep. Oh, that's a Glacial Chasm. All right. That makes things more complicated. How do we answer a Glacial Chasm? Is this one life loss? That one's life loss. Probably via the Massacre Worm. There's a Swamp. What are we doing? Massacre Worm puts opponent down to 5. And then they'd have to pay 2 into the Glacial Chasm. That does not buy them very much time. The other thing that we should probably look at doing is getting Golos out of play before it's activated. Okay, so I think Jet Medallion, Massacre Worm. Oh, and if we can Shieldred still, hopefully we've got the mana, then that'll trigger 2 more life loss, and I think that should more or less do it. Syr Konrad trigger, Massacre Worm trigger, Mindcrank triggers, Syr Konrad triggers, play a Swamp, cast Shieldred, swing both creatures at Narset. Opponent's going to block Syr Konrad. Oh, right, Golos go to the command zone. It won't trigger the Dies effect. I always forget about that when I play black decks. Like, it's a thing that I know, but in the moment, just always forget about it. So, Golos back to the command zone. Glacial Chasm will trigger. Shieldred will trigger. Be a steep cost on that Glacial Chasm right there. Opponent pays for it, down to 3. So we need to kill 2 creatures of theirs. They actually can't pay for it a second time. They would need to hit like a Crucible of Worlds so that they can sack it and do that whole thing. Opponent's going to give us a Spirit with the Forbidden Orchard, sure. Here comes a Skyshroud Claim. Breeding Pool untapped. Wow, opponent going to 1. Syr Konrad triggers. Oh, Aetherflux Reservoir into the graveyard. Sweet. Bet opponent wanted that one. Bringer of the Black Dawn. Wow. And then they scoop it. All right, yeah. So that game was... Things got out of hand very quickly in that game. Consecrated Sphinx, Living Death. That was all around like turn 4, turn 5. Lord of the Board, piloting the Olivia deck, just like poured gasoline on the fire that is our deck. Them being on a similar graveyard plan just fuels us up like crazy. They weren't trying to help us. They definitely misplayed because, you know, of their reaction in the chat. But yeah, Syr Konrad with Mesmeric Orb and the things that the Olivia deck was trying to do is really good. So yeah, that's what happens when someone's playing a graveyard deck against your Syr Konrad. Syr Konrad is able to take advantage of it really well. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.